diffraction condition or Bragg diffraction condition. Suppose this is the crystal specimen where diffraction occurs. Here K is the wave vector of the incoming beam. This incoming beam wave vector, let us say K, and the wave vector of the outgoing beam, this one, let us say K dash. K dash is the wave vector of the outgoing beam and K is the wave vector of the incoming beam. The incident beam, let us represented by e to the power I K dot R, and the outgoing beam is represented by e to the power I K dot R, that is the exponential function. Because the incident beam is a mixture of sine wave and cos wave, it can be represented by exponential wave. Similarly, the outgoing beam also can be represented by an exponential wave. Suppose in this figure, O is the origin of the crystal specimen, and you see dV is a small volume element at a distance r vector. Let us say this vector between O to dV is equal to r vector, and that is r vector is the distance between the origin O and the considered volume, small volume dV. Then what is the path difference between the incident wave? The path difference between the incident wave can be found out if you draw a perpendicular here. So if you draw a perpendicular here from this to this and from this to this is the path difference. Okay. So the path difference between the incident wave is this much and the path difference between the outgoing wave is this much. So if this angle is equal to phi, then the path difference between the two incident waves, this wave and this wave, this is the path difference. This will be equal to r sin phi. Because of this angle is equal to phi and this is a right angle triangle, so this path difference will be equal to r sin phi, where r is the perpendicular distance between the incident waves. So the phase difference between the two incident waves will be equal to twice pi by lambda into path difference. That is equal to twice pi r sin phi divided by lambda. Since we know the wave vector k is equal to twice pi by lambda, so this will be equal to twice pi by lambda will be equal to k vector dot the r vector, because r sin phi will be equal to the r vector. Similarly, we can find out the phase difference between the two diffracted waves will be equal to minus k dash dot r vector. So what will be the total phase difference between the diffracted waves and incident waves? The phase difference will be equal to k dot r minus k dash dot r. So this will be equal to k minus k dash dot r. So the phase, so the wave scattered from the volume element dV at a distance r from the origin has the phase factor that will be equal to exponential I k minus k dash dot r. You should remember this. This is very important. That is the wave scattered from the volume element dV, which is at r vector, has the phase factor. The phase factor is given by exponential I k minus k dash dot r relative to the wave scattered from the origin at O. This is also called the difference in phase factors between beams scattered from volume elements r apart, which is equal to exponential I k minus k dash dot r. Suppose we take that the amplitude of the wave scattered from a volume element is proportional to the local electron concentration nr. Remember, the amplitude of the wave scattered from a volume elements, let us say dV, is proportional to the local electron concentration nr. That is, amplitude of scattered wave is proportional to nr. nr is the electron concentration, or you may say local electron concentration. अतएव the total amplitude of the scattered wave in the direction k dash vector will be equal to integration of dv nr exponential I k minus k dash dot r. The scattering amplitude, this is called the scattering amplitude. So the scattering amplitude will be, let us say, f, that is equal to integration dv nr exponential I k minus k dash dot r. If we write the difference in wave vector k minus k dash as delta k, the difference in wave vector, if you write delta k, then the scattering amplitude f will be equal to integration dv nr exponential minus I delta k dot r. Because if you take k minus k dash is equal to minus delta k, or k plus delta k is equal to k dash. You see in this figure, here k is the incident wave vector and k dash is the outgoing wave vector, and this is your delta k. So from this triangle you may triangle law, applying triangle law, you may say k plus delta k is equal to k dash. That is why k minus delta k dash will be equal to minus delta k. That is why you have substituted here minus delta k, because k minus k dash is equal to minus delta k, so you have substituted here minus delta k. Here delta k is called the change in wave vector. Remember, here the delta k value is called the change in wave vector, or you may say scattering vector. The extension of Fourier analysis to periodic function nr in 3 dimension gives nr is equal to summed over g ng exponential I g dot r. If you analyze the Fourier series to periodic function nr, then in 3 dimension you will get this expression, where ng is called the set of Fourier coefficients which determines the X-ray scattering amplitude, and g is the set of vectors. Suppose this is equation 3. So from equation 1 and 3, in equation 1 we have find out the scattering amplitude f is equal to integration dv nr exponential minus I delta k dot r. So you have to substitute the value of nr, the electron number density here. So the scattering amplitude will become f is equal to summed over g integration dv ng exponential I g minus delta k dot r. Suppose this is equation 4. So in this scattering amplitude, if you take delta k is equal to g, suppose you take delta k is equal to g. Remember, when you take delta k is equal to g, in Bragg scattering from a periodic lattice, any allowed delta k must equal to the reciprocal lattice vector g. Remember, in Bragg scattering you take delta k is equal to g, where g is the reciprocal reciprocal vector, that is the reciprocal lattice vector. Okay, but in elastic scattering you take k dash is equal to k. Okay, so that delta k will be equal to 0. But in Bragg scattering, you will take delta k is equal to g. If you take delta k is equal to g, then k dash minus k will be equal to g, or k plus g will be equal to k dash. That is k plus g whole square will be equal to k dash square. So if you take the dot product of k plus g dot k plus g, then this will be equal to k dash square. So if you take the dot product of these two quantities, it will be equal to k square plus g square plus 2kg, that is equal to k dash square. And using Ewald construction, that is the spherical symmetry, we can write that k square will be equal to k dash square. So these two quantity will cancels out. So you will get g square plus 2k dot g will be equal to 0. So we will get 2k dot g will be equal to g square. So this is the scalar form of g, that is the reciprocal lattice vector, and this is the vector form of g, and this is called the Bragg's diffraction condition. Remember, this is very important. The Bragg diffraction condition, that is 2k dot g is equal to g square. Here g is called the reciprocal lattice vector. In terms of Miller indices, we can write DHKL, that is equal to twice pi by g, where g you write g in the form of reciprocal lattice vector h b1 plus k b2 plus l b3. So equation 6 can be written as 2 into k vector into g sin theta, that will be equal to g square. But we know that the wave vector k is equal to twice pi by lambda. So 2 into twice pi by lambda into sin theta, that is equal to g. 1 g will cancel. So that will be equal to 2 pi. 2 into 2 pi by lambda into sin theta, that will be equal to twice pi divided by DHKL. Here we have substituted g is equal to twice pi by DHKL. So 2 into DHKL sin theta will be equal to lambda. But DHKL may contain a common factor n. So eliminating the common factor, we write 2d sin theta will be equal to n lambda. So here d is the spacing between the adjacent parallel planes with indices h by n, k by n and l by n.